making a carrot cake with cream cheese frosting.
I really need you to hear what I'm saying.
As always, we're going to start with preparing our tin, grease and flour our loaf tin. Just using a pastry brush and a bit of spreadable butter. Greased it really well. I'm just going to get a little bit of flour, so maybe about a tablespoon or two, and then just put that inside the tin. Shake it around so that the flour coats all of the tin, okay? There you go. So it should allow. So just get rid of all the excess flour that's in there. I'm just going to tap it into my sink. So now your tray should be greased and floured just like this. So I'm just going to put that to the side. It's time to move on to preheating your oven. So we're going to bake this cake at 160 fan. And if you don't have a fan assisted oven, that's 180 degrees. And that is gas mark 4 for those with gas ovens. Right, so once we've preheated our oven, it's time to move on to the cake mixture. We're going to start off by preparing our carrots. Just get your carrots, put your scale on, make sure it's on 0, and then just bob them on your scale. And then when you reach 175 grams of carrots, then you can stop. That's 178. I'm not going to be too fussy about getting it bang on 175. 178 is good enough. So that's how many carrots I'm going to use, because obviously I'm going to chop the ends off as well. So we'll probably end up at 175 grams. So I've got 3 carrots here that weigh 178 grams. Okay, so you chop off the top part and the bottom part a little bit. And now we're going to peel them. So I've just got a peeler. You can use your knife, whatever you normally peel them with. We are now going to grate our carrots. So I've got a box grater. So I'm just going to get my carrot. I'm just going to use the large side of the grater and just grate the carrots. I don't really have to put them into a bowl because I've got this, but because all those extra bits on top, I might as well stick them all together in one bowl into your bowl. I'm also going to zest my orange at the same time because we're prepping, right? We like prepping. So I'll put your carrots to the side, or you can zest your orange straight into here if you want to. You don't have to put it to the side, but because I've got this, then I'm just going to zest it into there. So use the fine side now of your grater, or if you've got a microplane or a hand grater, you can use that. And then you just want to zest your one orange. And this is optional. You don't have to add orange zest into your cake if you don't want to. I just think it gives a nice flavour, additional flavour to the carrot cake. And make sure you only get the zest in and not the white flesh of your orange. You don't want that. The white flesh is quite bitter. There we go. So I've zested majority of my orange, and that should be sufficient. Most of it stuck in the inside of the blades, which is what tends to happen. And my hands have gone orange in the process. Very nice. So we're going to add the orange zest to the carrots. And I'm going to wash my hands because I don't fancy looking like an Oompa Loompa. So we've got grated carrots and orange zest prepared. So let's put that to the side. We're going to get a large mixing bowl. We're going to add in both our large eggs. So crack in 2 large eggs into your mixing bowl. So get your scale, put it underneath your bowl, put your scale on, make sure it is on 0, and we're going to weigh in our vegetable oil first. 150 millilitres weighs the same as 150 grams, so you can weigh it on your scale. You don't have to use a measuring jug. So put your scale on 0, slowly add in light brown soft sugar, 175 grams of sugar. We are going to whisk the eggs, the oil and the sugar together for a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, until it's nice and light and aerated, okay? So that's our mixture nice and whipped up. We're going to go ahead and add in our carrots and our orange zest, okay, to our mixture now. Mix our carrots and our orange zest in. With a mixer, just do it on slow until it's all combined. And now we're going to go ahead and add in our dry ingredients. Okay, I'm going to measure my dry ingredients into a separate bowl, and then we're going to sift them into this large bowl. Normally I would weigh directly into here and just put the sieve on top of the bowl, but I feel like the sieve may end up touching, let's check it actually, touching the batter. Let's have a look. We don't really need the mixer anymore because we're going to fold in the dry ingredients. Okay, so we can get rid of the mixer for now. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, it will touch the base. So get yourself a separate small bowl. Okay, so put your bowl on top of your scale. Put your scale on. We're going to weigh in our self-raising flour first. 175 grams of self-raising flour. Okay. So a teaspoon of baking powder. So let's use a measuring spoon. So the way you measure with these is you get your ingredient into, and then you scrape it off the top so that it's nice and level. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, so that goes into the flour. So that's half a teaspoon. So half a teaspoon of cinnamon, again, just making sure it's flat. So half a teaspoon of cinnamon, quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg, which is the one even smaller than this one, the baby one. Yes, it says quarter teaspoon on it. And again, measure, flatten, and there you have quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg. So I've got my batter here, and we're going to get our large sieve and we're going to sift our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. Then you just want to get yourself a wooden spoon or a rubber spatula, and we're going to fold the flour into our mixture, and we're basically going to mix it until there's no flour pockets left, okay, and everything is nicely combined. Now, doing it by hand will ensure that we don't overmix it, okay, and you can actually feel the texture of the batter as well. Feels pretty nice, smells pretty good, smells spicy. Cake batter done, and all we need to do now is put it into our tin that we prepared earlier. You're going to bake that in your preheated oven for about 50 to 55 minutes, okay? Now what I tend to do is bake it for 40 minutes. I take it out and then I'll cover it in some foil and then put it back in for another 10 minutes because that'll stop the top from getting too brown. So if you notice that your top is getting a bit too brown and it's too crusty and you don't like it like that, you can cover it with foil after 40 minutes and then put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. And the way that you check your cake is done is you poke a sharp knife in the middle. If the knife comes out clean, that means your cake is baked. If it doesn't, that means you just need to leave it in for a little bit longer. But moving on to the cream cheese frosting. For that, you need to make sure that your butter and your cream cheese are room temperature, because otherwise what tends to happen is the frosting tends to get really runny. Scale and put your bowl on top with your scale that you're going to make your frosting in. Put your scale on, and we need 75 grams of unsalted butter, so just add it in until you reach 75 grams. The butter is still a little bit too hard. It's room temperature, but it's not soft enough. It's still, can see it's a little bit too hard, so we want it to be a little bit softer than that. So I'm going to put it in the microwave for literally just 10 seconds. What that has done is basically softened up our butter nicely, yeah? Can you see it's a lot more soft now, it's not hard anymore. So you basically want your butter to be like that. Now that we've softened our butter, we're going to put the bowl back onto our scale. Put your large sieve on top of your bowl. Put your scale on 0 again, and we're going to sift in our icing sugar. You need the same amount of icing sugar to butter, so 75 grams of icing sugar. You just sift in the icing sugar into the butter. So just like any other buttercream, we are going to mix the butter and icing sugar together until it goes nice and smooth. It's going to be a bit messy, so you want to just mix it in a little bit first, just so that you don't get a massive dust cloud. Make sure your bowl is big enough to do this in, okay, otherwise you're going to get a big fat mess everywhere and it's going to fly everywhere. So I just like to kind of mix it in a little bit first, and because the butter's soft, it kind of helps mix it in. And then you just put it on a slow start. Just keep going with it until the bowl is nice and smooth, okay? So it should look like this, where it's come together as a buttercream. Just get a spatula and scrape down the bowl. And it will be quite stiff, but that's absolutely normal. Scale underneath your bowl, put your scale on, and then weigh in 100 grams of cream cheese. Make sure it's room temperature, okay? So what will happen if your cream cheese is too cold is that the butter will start to solidify and you'll get lumps in your frosting or it will split. Then you also want to add in about a teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla bean paste. And then just give it a good mix until it's nice and good. Don't over mix it now, just mix it until it's combined and that's it. There we go. And what you should be left with is this super delicious, stiff cream cheese that is pipeable, nice and tangy, but not too sweet as well. And it's not runny at all. So that is how you make your cream cheese frosting, guys. Should look like this. Okay guys, so my carrot cake has completely cooled. Now if you don't want to do this, and you can just pile your cream cheese frosting on top, use an offset spatula and kind of do a zigzag design in it, or just do an even layer of cream cheese frosting all over the top. So we're going to pipe as. So get yourself a piping bag and a piping tip. I am using a 1M tip, so which is an open star tip. So your cream cheese frosting should look like this. It should be set and nice and smooth. Cut a hole in the top of your piping bag to put your piping tip in and fill up your piping bag with your frosting. And start on one end over here, and we're going to pipe a kind of zigzag design. So go across the top of your cake, the front, and just keep squeezing as you pipe, and it should make a nice zigzag design. Now that we have piped our cream cheese frosting on, we are going to grate a little bit of orange zest on top, just because there's a little bit of orange in the cake as well, so it gives a nice extra flavour. You can also put some crushed walnuts or any kind of nuts that you like for decoration and also for a bit of a crunch. Cut yourself a yummy slice of cake and enjoy. Let's have a taste of this. That's it. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe and bake yourself up a delicious carrot cake. Alright guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your families. Thank you so much for joining me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.